YouTube, it's Satch. Welcome to Driver 81. This is part 2 of the IPD Plenum and GT3 Throttle body install. Let's do business. Okay, welcome to the video. As I said earlier, my name's Satch. This is the Driver 81 Porsche YouTube channel, and in this video we'll be looking at the IPD Plenum and GT3 Throttle body install. Now this is part 2. If you haven't yet watched part 1 of the video, I suggest you watch that now. I'll put the link to part 1 in the description below this video. And I'll do a quick recap on exactly what happened in part 1. So, I received the IPD Plenum and GT3 Throttle body, I installed them into the car, and then what happened was I started the engine. We were getting a lot of fluctuation on the revs. Almost as if we're getting too much air into the system and not enough fuel. So it's acting like almost like a fuel starvation kind of situation where it's kind of gasping. Now eventually after about 10 minutes that did settle down and we were getting a very smooth and consistent idle and RPM. So I turned the engine off, put the engine back on, and the exact same thing happened again, only this time we got the check engine light as well. So it's a flashing check engine light. I used the iCarsoft POR version 1.0, link in the description below. Gave us the P0195 mass airflow sensor and a lot of cylinder misfire fault codes. I cleared those codes, took it out for a drive. The codes came back, however the check engine light did not. So there's a lot of inconsistency going on, and that leads us to where we are right now. That all happened yesterday. This is a new day. I started the car this morning. We were getting the same problem with the fluctuating revs. However, this time we've had no check engine light at all. Now, the instructions of the IPD Plenum install do say that it can take between 5 and 50 miles for the new system to adapt and to feel any real sort of performance gains. Now, I'm hoping that's the case with this install because I've now driven about, coming up to 20 miles, and let me tell you there's something about the performance of this car. It performs absolutely perfectly. When I'm driving, there's no spluttering, there's no hesitation. We are getting a very clean and smooth drive. When I put my foot down, I'm getting a very good throttle response. So that is not an issue at all. What I really need to do is drive the car for another 30 miles or so, and then we'll see how it gets on. So that's what I'm going to go and do now. Give this car a good old spanking. Wow, what a rush. Okay, so I've driven this car now for about an additional 50 miles and fingers crossed and touch wood that everything seems good so far. I've started the car, stopped it and started it again quite a number of times, and every time I've started the car, the revs are very consistent, very stable, sitting there at about 800 RPM. Could be wrong on that, but what I have also done is erased the trouble codes again. You remember I was getting the P1095 and then the cylinder misfire codes. I've erased all of those. I've driven it again and the codes haven't come back. So I can only assume and I can only hope that it just meant that the ECU needed time to get used to the new airflow, the increased amount of airflow that's coming through from the intake, and we've had no codes back, no check engine light, as I say. With regards to performance, by the way, obviously that's why people buy these modifications. That's why they do these modifications, to see performance increase gains. Now, what is my opinion on that? Do I feel like I've got increased performance? Do I feel like I've got more brake horsepower at my disposal? It's very, very difficult to say, and if it is, it's very small. I think if I'm noticing anything, I'm noticing more in the low end So when I'm sort of 2,000 to 3,000 RPM in the lower stages of the rev range, that's when I kind of feel that I've got just that little bit more punch at my disposal. Of course, it's impossible for me to say, yeah, I've got 20 brake horsepower, great, I recommend it to everyone. But I'm not going to turn around and say that, because I don't believe I've got that at my disposal, as I say. I think what I'm going to do is, I'll pull over here, I'm going to get this car on a dyno, get it on a rolling road, and ultimately see if we can prove that there has been any performance gains. I know what I probably should have done is actually got it dynoed before I did the install, and then dynoed it after as well. Well, I didn't, so all I've got to go with is the stock performance, and now obviously with the IPD Plenum GT3 Throttle body on there. It looks like it's going to be a good feature. However, I think I will also need to go down the getting a remap done, and maybe also the headers as well. They say that this modification works really well with the headers, so that's probably what I'm going to do. So unfortunately, I can't turn around and say, go out and get it. It's the best modification you can do to increase performance. I would say before the IPD and GT3 throttle body, I would say maybe concentrate on getting headers which are restricting performance. Maybe go through a decat rear exhaust like the Carnival GT, like the one that I've got. Maybe go and get a remap done, because those things, they're all going to cost less than the IPD Plenum and the GT3 throttle body. When you combine everything together, I think that's when you'll see the most benefits. So I'm off now to do a bit more driving in this Cayman. As I mentioned earlier, the iCarSoft POR version 1.0, you can pick that up by clicking the description in this video. I love being able to come out and drive on these roads. These roads are about 20 miles from my house, about a 20-minute drive, and it really is a backyard playground for me and my Porsche 911 Cayman and Boxster cars to come out and just give them all a good thrash. Pedal to the metal.